Good morning.
There's a few more people here probably than your good afternoon than your last press conference. Rob, I'd like to just first of all start by asking you about the progression that you feel that your teams have made in the last few weeks since we last heard from you in terms of their attacking prowess.
Yeah, I think when you look, particularly in terms of the schedule and the early weather conditions and the shape in the last 3 games in particular, the number of line breaks that we've made, I think that we are where we want to be. I think when you look at the times we've been held up over the trial, I think it was 8 times. I think we're in a good place. If we weren't creating line breaks, I'd be a worried man sitting here at this moment in time. But we've created a lot of opportunities, and the challenge is against the world champions on Saturday is when we create, because there won't be that many. We have to be clinical and ruthless, and that's the challenge on Saturday. But we've trained well this week. The momentum over the last 2 games, in particular the Chiefs game and the Maori team, I think that certain players and the leadership within the group has been brilliant, and I think that we're hugely looking forward to the challenge on Saturday. I think everyone has been waiting for this event. It's a special game. In 12 years, the unbeaten record of New Zealand All Blacks at Eden Park over the last 23 years, and it's something that we're looking to embrace and look to hopefully go out and play some rugby.
Tell us about the selection, the team selection for the test, and how you balanced what you want to do, which is obviously attack, and obviously the defence, which has been much talked about and is so important.
Defence wins games all the time. I think that we're very mindful of the New Zealand kicking strategy. I think they kick the most opportunities in the game, probably between 28 and 32 times. We want to have a counter attack, and I think in terms of the group on Tuesday, we've been pretty honest, throughout the tour about players who are playing on that Tuesday will have the opportunity to put their hands up for the test, and one captain has stayed honest with that. And when we sat down, it was a long discussion. The likes of Elliot Daly, I think in the back 3 we've got pace, we've got early and late footwork, and we've got the ability to get on the outside edge, and that's going to be a hard enough challenge. There's the talent of Liam Williams, particularly when you look back a year ago here in New Zealand, he played pretty effectively in 15. And I also think in terms of the strength and depth and the selections that we had and the choices in Elliot Daly, the George Norths, the Anthony Watsons, there's a lot of strength and depth in this Lions squad, and we said that when we sat down to select it, and that's how it's turned out. So we're looking forward to that back 3. We need to have a counter attack to come back with that New Zealand kicking game, and that has to be measured, and it has to be patience, and it has to be a decision making process, and that's a challenge aided by the other team members on Saturday.
Rob, what, if anything, has been different this week in terms of the preparation, given the significance of the first test and where it's been played?
It's just a game of rugby. Trust your players to go out and play. I think that whilst we all recognise a huge game, you trust your players to go out. There's a lot of experience within this group. Players who played 4 years ago in Australia. But when you look at the blend of the players and the experience that played on Tuesday, and I think that that's given us even added momentum. The leaders who were in the shadows, who weren't involved, and to see the whole team spirit after the game on Tuesday, we were immensely pleased and proud of that performance. And in the change rooms after, it was a good change room to be in. It will be even better one on Saturday that we're looking forward to.
Now, Warren spoke yesterday just about the sort of the lively selection meeting in terms of picking the players, because a lot of people put their hands up in terms of selection. Can you talk about the debate or what the decision and thinking is in relation to Peter O'Mahony's choice as the captain?
Oh, look, Peter's led particularly well. I think when you look at Lions tours and players, when you're playing alongside different players from other countries, there's leaders who lead in the shadows, who are very quiet, honest, and lead by actions, and there's others who lead by words. And certainly, Peter's a very quiet person, but in terms of his respect within the group, and he's just a leader through actions, and he's been outstanding. I think he brings a calming nature to the group, and also there's other leaders within the team that lead by words, and it's a really good blend. Whether that the Tuesday team, and obviously you've seen on the last 2 Saturdays, there's a lot of leadership, and different leaders lead in different ways, and I think that the blend on Saturday, the Saturday group, have been in a good place. We haven't conceded a point in the second half for the last 2 games. I think from a defensive perspective, we need to take time and space away from New Zealand, and Peter goes about his way in his own way, and I quite like it. He's not at the forefront, but he's there having a chat, the one-on-ones, and that's important, because you bring other players, give players confidence, and he certainly has done that this week.
There are a lot of matchups and exciting matchups all over the pitch, a lot of head-to-heads. Is this going to have to be your most clinical performance of the tour so far if you're to win this first test?
Well, there's no doubt when you play New Zealand, any country, it has to be the most clinical performance. They've got one of the best forward packs in World Rugby. They are the best, and in terms of 9 and 10, they got world-class players. To be honest, I think our 9 and 10 aren't too bad either. I think that in Conor and Owen, but certainly believe that they are the best in the Northern Hemisphere. There's a maturity about them, and I think that we're looking forward to those matchups. But it's about the team performance. It's about facilitating the team and putting us in the right places. Obviously, depending on the conditions on Saturday evening. It's due to stop raining apparently around 2 o'clock, so it might be dry. It'd be nice to have a dry field, but obviously the last 5-6 games it hasn't been. So look, we look forward to that challenge, and I think that we can't wait really.
Rob, speaking as a former Lions scrum half, as much as speaking as a Lions coach, we know how important the All Blacks Smith and Perenara are at scrum half. Are you confident your 9s are not only good enough to match them, but outplay them as well?
Look, I think from Connor's, as I just mentioned, about facilitating your team. It's about bringing the best out of your team and the areas where you want to play. I think that the word composure and stability is Conor and Owen. They bring a lot of stability to our team. Their communications and doing the things at the right time, and when we've got front football, is recognising that and playing on front football, and when we haven't achieved that, it's recognising the speed of ball, where to go and where to play. Their leadership qualities in terms of their communication is brilliant, and I think they just bring a real good stability to the team and a composure, and I think you've seen that in the last 2 Saturday performances in difficult conditions, and just looking forward to that. They played together back in 13, and they've certainly come together very well over the last couple of weeks.
Do you think we'll look to use Reece proactively off the bench in the same way the All Blacks were with Farrell?
Look, we won't make any decisions. We'll the game at the time, how the game is going, the second half, we'll make the substitutions as and when we feel is needed. I think it's one thing which the All Blacks have certainly had has been a point of difference, is their bench. Particularly when they're playing against some Northern Hemisphere sides, the strength and depth. We've got a very good bench, a very experienced bench, and I think that will be the point of difference at some stage in the game as well.
Rob, is Lee Halfpenny all okay? I know obviously he had a head injury concern, not HIA issue, but you went through the protocol, so everything's sorted?
Everything's fine. He couldn't train early on in the week. He had his first sort of light session yesterday, and he trained fully today, so yeah, he's completely fit.
And just obviously Steve Hansen was saying Warren been open about discussion with referees, but obviously they've been had directly with the referees as well. Steve Hansen was suggesting talking about that in public as potentially bullying. I mean, given that it's a conversation that's been had with the referees before it was discussed in public, surely that's the right way to go about it. What's wrong with that?
Look, we had a really good meeting, the sort of head coaches back in March IRB meeting, and I think Steve Hansen couldn't make that meeting. Ian Foster was there, and that's all we wanted from the referees, and the referees were there, the top 5 in World Rugby. That's all we want from referees, to referee the game. referee to the law. And in terms of material effect of the speed of ball, just referee the law. If it's offside, it's offside. It's up to us to coach players. And exactly the same, just referee the laws of the game, and if we can get consistency in those laws. Jacko Piper is a very good referee. He refereed a second test in Wellington last year with Wales. That's all you want from a referee, is to give you a chance to win and be consistent. And we felt Jacko was excellent that day, and I'm sure you'll have a good game on the weekend.
Keith and then Murray, please.
Rob, your selection at 23, obviously we're used to coaches selecting players that can come on and cause problems in the last quarter, as well as perhaps covering the back three. What's the thinking behind having Lee at 23 rather than perhaps starting him?
Look, he can cover wing and full back. We discussed the bench, quite a bit in terms of Jonathan Joseph being involved. And we're just mindful of New Zealand and the way they might want to play the game, and I think that the aerial battle is going to be pretty important on the weekend, and the coverage in the back three. And I think that we felt Lee Halfpenny was the best decision to go out as number 23.
Rob, you mentioned the leaders around Peter there, and Warren said that Sean O'Brien is one of those guys that's kind of stood up. He doesn't seem to be as quiet as Peter.
No, he's not. You certainly hear Sean, I can tell you.
What's he been like on and off the pitch for you? And he's keeping the tour captain out of this.
Look, Sean's a very motivational person. I think that his performances on the field have suggested that he's back to his best. He's very powerful, he's very dynamic, he's very strong. And I know, the New Zealand back row hugely respects Sean O'Brien. And when you've got a New Zealand back row as experienced as they are, respecting a player, I think that says a lot about the player himself. He certainly lives by his actions and his words. He's one of the few players who can, and I'm sure that he'll have a very potent display on the weekend.
Rob, we've seen reports about an incident last night involving tour manager John Spencer. Can you just talk us through your understanding of what happened there?
Yeah, look, I spoke to John. It's an isolated incident. It's a disappointing incident. Since we've been here in New Zealand, we've had a fantastic welcome. The New Zealand public have been unbelievable in their hospitality, in their welcome wherever we've been. And unfortunately, in sport there's always a minority, and it's not the majority. So the experiences we've had over the last 6 weeks, who knows? It's been a long time anyway. It's been quite unbelievable. The New Zealand public have embraced us. I think they appreciate the rugby that we play. And it was only last night when we went out to the viaduct as a squad and management, and there were a lot of Kiwis coming on to us. Yes, there's been banter between New Zealand supporters and our supporters and us as well, and that's part of the course. But coming back to John, it's an isolated incident, and it's the minority, not the majority.
Rob, sorry. You mentioned the high ball before. Do you see maybe Conor Murray's contestable kicking game as a point of difference that you have over the All Blacks?
I wouldn't say it's a difference, because Aaron Smith is equally adept of that skill. I think that it's a skill which is now required in the modern game, and it's changed over the last 4 years, probably in terms of the aerial battle. That distance has changed quite dramatically, and I think that the one thing when you're playing against the All Blacks, you have to dominate possession. And it's important that when you do kick, you either kick and find grass or you regain it, and that's been our challenge and our different sort of elements of the technical part of the game of kicking long and keeping the ball on and kicking the ball off, and we just need to get that element right on Saturday, because we're well aware of in terms of the back three with Smith and Dag and Ione. You don't give any player in New Zealand space, because when you give those players time and space on the ball, they normally make line breaks, and when they make line breaks, they're very clinical. So yeah, that's a challenge, and Conor up to this point has been absolutely fantastic in his game management. Is a strong part of his game, as well as Rhys Webb, and we feel we've got 2 nines along with Greg that can challenge those areas when it's needed to. But look, there's other elements to Conor's game which is excellent as well, which we're looking forward to seeing.
One more, please. Great.
Rob, what is,
sorry,
what Farrell give you a 10 that Johnny Sexton doesn't?
Comparing and contrasting, Graham, I don't like. I think we're very fortunate to have two world-class 10s. I think that Owen's performances over the last 12 months, I think he was named as Northern Hemisphere Player of the Year. He's playing in a team that's playing with confidence. There's a maturity. I've certainly seen a change in 4 years in Owen, particularly from 2013. There's a stability about him. There's a confidence about him, and certainly that drips down to the players as well. And Johnny's a good player. I like working with Johnny. He's a narky old player that he always asks questions and wants to know what he needs to do. And I think we're very fortunate, along with Dan Bigger, who's one of the leaders in the shadows. Really, I think that we're very fortunate, and we've discussed about that 10-12 as well. Who knows, we might see that on Saturday, not too sure, but just depending on how the game goes.
How has Johnny reacted, Rob, to not being in the starting team? He would have had hopes of getting the starting team after last Saturday's.
Yeah, like everyone else in the 23 or in part of the squad, all of a sudden you become behind the team, and the camaraderie since the selection process that occurred has been unbelievable. They get behind the team now, and that's what you do as a Lions player.